Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus channel. There are no natural barriers in the sky. As such, this is the most challenging border for any nation to defend. Therefore, preventing enemy bombers, fighters, and reconnaissance aircraft from infiltrating one's airspace requires vast amounts of sophisticated equipment. It also necessitates aircraft capable of meeting any potential threats quickly, efficiently, and, in some cases, with lethal intent. This process is known as interception, and the aircraft assigned to the task are designated as interceptors. Many types of planes have assumed this role over the years, but there are some features that nearly all of them share. For starters, they are typically built for high speed and exceptional maneuverability. So that they can rapidly close the distance with the target aircraft. Modern interceptors are also equipped with advanced radar systems, sensors, and avionics to detect, track, and identify incoming targets. Lastly, interceptors must also be heavily armed, as hostile aircraft must be dealt with quickly if they are determined to pose a threat. Pilots frequently need to engage in simulations and exercises in order to hone their interception skills. Generally, this consists of participating in the detection process and locating the unknown aircraft to identify it correctly. This unique training scenario includes both F-16s and V-22 Ospreys. The latter are VTOL transport aircraft, while the F-16 is one of the United States' oldest and most formidable fighter jets. Because of the speed and size differential between these types of aircraft, this type of interception could prove particularly challenging. Fortunately, the pilot is able to use his advanced sensors to locate the V-22, establish visual contact, and determine the best way to approach the situation. In this case, the F-16 decides to fly low and keep the mountains between him and the target, allowing him to approach without being detected. In many cases, an aircraft will have legitimate reasons for invading a country's airspace. They may have made a navigation mistake or suffered an equipment malfunction. However, when hostility is detected, the intercepting plane will need to engage the enemy in what is known as a dogfight. These close-range aerial engagements are extremely difficult and typically a matter of life and death. That's why most militaries, especially the US Air Force, also put their pilots through extensive dogfight training. During each exercise, pilots are tasked with using a combination of tactics, maneuvering, and weapon systems to gain an advantage over their opponents. These generally include various techniques such as high G-turns, barrel rolls, and Immelman turns, which help the Allied pilots outmaneuver opponents while maintaining visual contact and optimizing weapons engagement opportunities. One of the biggest concerns among military leaders is that a routine interception will escalate into a dogfight due to poor communication, poor information, or bad behavior on behalf of either pilot.
And Bulldog, Trident, sounds like we have a lot of feedback on it.
Over the years, there have been many situations in which an intercepting plane has flown too close to an aircraft not currently posing any threat, or attempting to engage or intimidate the pilots. Such interactions can dramatically increase tensions during an already tense exchange, and even lead to a major international incident. One of the ways militaries protect larger planes like bombers and transport aircraft from being intimidated while on their mission is by ensuring they are escorted by one or more smaller fighter jets. This B-22 is currently deployed in Japan, an area of the world that includes a fair amount of disputed airspace. In order to keep it safe, the Air Force has assigned 2 F-15Cs to protect the plane and run interference against any planes that try to intercept the bomber. On the other side of the spectrum, it's important to note that bombers like the B-52 pose the biggest potential threats once they manage to cross into unwelcome airspace. These same F-15 pilots will often train with B-52s on bomber interception scenarios. Such training exercises generally start with a quick briefing, after which the F-15 takes off and attempts to locate the B-52, which is standing in for a potential enemy bomber. Thanks to its impressive speed and powerful sensors, the F-15 pilot is able to quickly find and identify the bomber, and then assume an escort position from a relatively safe distance. With 31 member states, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, is one of the largest military alliances in history. Because NATO often dictates how military personnel should act when encountering one another in the field, the organization has developed a series of rules and procedures regarding aircraft interception. This is broken up into 5 stages: identification, investigation, alert, interception, and then reporting the incident. The process starts when an unidentified aircraft is detected entering NATO airspace or flying suspiciously. At this point, troops on the ground will attempt to determine whether or not the aircraft needs additional investigation and which of the 30-plus planes on standby across NATO territory are in the best position to perform an intercept. If they cannot contact the plane or feel an investigation is warranted, the nearest plane will be scrambled and directed to identify the aircraft in question visually. In 99% of cases, the interceptor will make contact and escort the plane out of NATO airspace. If assistance is needed due to some malfunction, NATO will do its best to get the plane safely on its way, regardless of whether it's a friend or foe. Unfortunately, interceptions do not always go as planned. In situations where tensions between two or more countries are particularly high, one or more parties may act in a way that puts lives and millions of dollars of equipment at risk. For instance, in March of 2023, two Russian Su-27 fighters conducted an unsafe and unprofessional intercept of an unmanned US MQ-9 drone. At the time, the drone was flying over international airspace, which should have protected it from being intercepted at all. However, one of the Su-27s dumped fuel on the MQ-9's propeller, forcing the remote pilot to bring the drone down in international waters. Interceptor pilots need a good pair of eyes in order to perform their jobs properly. However, locating modern aircraft in open airspace requires much more than reliable vision. Without radar, it would be nearly impossible for anyone on the ground to see or hear an enemy plane before it's too late. Radar stands for radio detection and ranging. This refers to highly technical systems that use radio waves to detect and locate objects in their vicinity. In the military context, ground-to-air radar allows for identifying and tracking military planes in the airspace. When compared to civilian radar units, military designs will often boast a wider range and higher sensitivity. Most modern systems can also utilize advanced signal processing algorithms to differentiate between different aircraft types while suppressing interference due to environmental conditions or heavy air traffic. Even combined with the latest global technology, ground-to-air radar cannot see everything. After all, ground-to-air radar operates based on the principle of line of sight. This means that the radar's effectiveness can be limited by natural and man-made obstacles, such as mountains and tall buildings. This provides pockets an enemy might exploit in order to infiltrate friendly airspace. Most ground-to-air radars typically will also have limited altitude coverage. Since they are optimized for detecting and tracking aircraft at medium to high altitudes, they often fail to detect low-flying targets close to the radar's location. The solution to this is mobile radar systems. In areas with uneven coverage, a military might deploy a variety of mobile radar stations using any number of different vehicles. These transportable radars can drastically improve defensive coverage and go a long way toward preventing unexpected attacks. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.